Well, good evening, good evening. It is Tuesday the 28th of January 2013. Hello, you're watching Vaper Scene on Vaper Trails TV, and we've got some interesting bits of footage tonight. We've got a bit from Daybreak last week. We've got the amazing piece of Sky News footage from the weekend, which caused a few people to do a lot of tweeting, and we'll look at that in a second. And then in part two, we've got the piece that was on this morning, and also we're going to finally get the first part of the two-part Juicy from our very own Dave Malik, looking at some very strange tastes indeed. Haven't got time with lots of editing, last minute editing to play both parts, but we'll have part two next week. But all that, my friends, can only happen once you've seen these. It's Vaper Scene.
Vaper Scene is proudly sponsored by Health E-Vape, UK purveyor of e-cigarettes and e-liquid.
Good evening, welcome to Vaper Scene on Tuesday the 28th of January. It's a bad thing looking at chat when things are happening because, Leanna, it's definitely not a battered cod juice. I wonder what that would taste like. No, I don't even want to know what that would taste like. I think I need some mind bleach. Sav, pass me some mind bleach. Battered cod e-juice would not be good. Yes. We've already seen that video from way back about the crab juice. Yeah, that classic video. But there you go, I digress. Yes, good evening and welcome to this week's Vaper Scene. We're going to be looking at a few of the news items that have been coming over the last few weeks, well, the last week really. A bit of Daybreak in a second from last Thursday that was shown ahead of the Chris Choi piece on Thursday, which has been taken down from ITV Player for various reasons, and it's not back yet. I checked before I went live, and it's not back yet, which is rather strange, but I'm sure it will be back. I'm sure it will be. But we're going to look first of all at a story from the weekend, and I saw this piece on Sky News, and Matt Gluggles was tweeting about it thus. Yes, Dr. Sarah Jarvis was on Sky News, and he's branded her the Sky News e-cig liar, and those are his words. I must make that clear. I am just reporting the news as I see it on this vaping news channel. Yes, and I'm going to play the Sky bit now, and then we'll look at what he says. So here it is for those of you who haven't seen it.
Some claim e-cigarettes can help you quit smoking. Others say their nicotine content could tempt you to start. Despite the presence of the highly addictive drug, any child can currently buy one. The government now plans to close that legal loophole and ban the sale of devices to under 18s.
Do you think that allowing under 18-year-olds to buy e-cigarettes could potentially encourage them to smoke for real?
Potentially, yes. It's still a habit, whether it's made of paper or made of whatever this is.
People wouldn't be starting smoking with e-cigarettes because normally if they're starting smoking it would be to try and seem cool.
Electronic cigarettes work by turning liquid nicotine into vapour, which is then inhaled. There's a variety of flavours, leading to accusations that they target children. They're thought to be the safer option, but health experts warn that the long-term effects are still unknown.
When studies have been done looking at what's in different e-cigarettes, A, they contain huge variation in the amount of nicotine in them, and B, they contain everything from antifreeze chemicals to cancer-causing chemicals.
The chairman of one e-cigarette company welcomed the age limit, but insists users aren't taking up smoking.
Why on earth would anybody decide that having used one of these products that they would rather have one that kills them and stinks and that they can't use wherever they want? There's just no logic in that at all.
Tell me, what is that?
Some sort of pen.
This 15-year-old has no desire to buy an electronic cigarette. Her peers who do are likely to now have to wait until they're 18. Hind Hassan, Sky News.
Do you know what an e-cigarette is?
Okay. Now, before I go on to what Matt says in his blog, it's interesting to note that that 15-year-old girl wasn't asked if she smoked, or wasn't asked if she would consider smoking a traditional cigarette. Only the e-cigarette was mentioned. Strange, but there you go. Yes, so let's look at what Matt said in his blog. Now, I hope you can see that. I've got it on a different screen, so I hope you can see that. But apparently Dr. Sarah Jarvis is a spokesperson for Pfizer. And she said a couple of things there, and I'm going to just skirt through a few of the things on this blog because we haven't really got time to go through the whole thing. But she said that 1, there are huge variations in the level of nicotine in e-cigs, and 2, they contain antifreeze and cancer-causing chemicals. So if we go to the next slide there, it's the same old story, isn't it? And Matt's got it right here. Of course, there are variations in the level of nicotine because we all want different strengths depending on our preference. And the implication that Dr. Sarah Jarvis is making is that there are a variation of the declared amount of nicotine. In other words, the labels are not accurate. And of course, we know, especially if the members of e-cigs get the nicotine liquid tested by UK government agency testing laboratories, and everything is above board. And she also mentioned about the propylene glycol. Propylene glycol has been extensively tested for over 40 years and is regarded as safe. It is the propellant used in asthma inhalers, amongst many other things, and yes, it is sometimes used in antifreeze for products such as drinking water. And the cancer-causing chemicals, TSNAs, have been detected in such a very low level that the trace levels are considered to be harmless, and they are the same levels as those found in nicotine replacement therapy. It's the same old story again, isn't it? It's people in the profession, advisors, medical people, getting it wrong. If we could put Diet Cola, for instance, mentioning no brands, but if we could put Diet Cola in drinking water and put that in our cars instead of using antifreeze that got the same method, would they then try to ban the Diet Cola? Propylene glycol is in antifreeze because it stops the water from freezing. It's one of those things that does that. So is it that dangerous? No. Now, Dr. Sarah Jarvis is on the One Show quite a lot. She's on the Jeremy Vise Show quite a lot on Radio 2. And I would suspect is quite highly regarded. But if somebody is a spokesperson for a major pharmaceutical company that makes certain drugs that are there to help smokers quit, then surely that interest should be declared before any comments are made about other smoking cessation products that are not linked to that company that the person is affiliated with. Don't you think? It does make me think, you know, can we trust a lot of people out there? I'm not mentioning anybody, I'm not taking any sides completely, I'm going to remain neutral because I don't want to get sued. But there you go. You look into that what you will. You look at that information and make your own minds up. So that was the Sky News piece. And thank you to Dave Dawn, by the way, who dumped these down into our Dropbox collectively, and a few other videos that I'm going to be showing you tonight. But we're going to go into the next piece, and this was Daybreak last week. And you'll see Catherine Devlin, and Catherine Devlin does a damn good job at putting people right. Have a look.
It's 8:10 and nearly 1.5 million adults in the UK use them, and they're being sold as the best way to quit smoking.
But how safe are e-cigarettes? Amid concern about the lack of research and regulation, a one-poll survey for Daybreak found 48% of those questions thought e-cigarettes should be banned in public places.
45% said they thought they would encourage children to start smoking tobacco, and 47% said they would feel uncomfortable if someone started smoking one of them near them or the family.
Well, ITV's Tonight programme has seen exclusive research by the World Health Organization that shows not enough is known about the chemical content of e-cigarettes.
Come to where the flavour is. Come to Marlborough country.
It was once seen as a glamorous and exciting pastime, but cigarette adverts were banned on TV in the 1960s.
There are some steps in life that seem impossible.
Now they're back, and this time they're a bit different. This may look like a normal cigarette. It may even give you the sensation and nicotine hit of a normal cigarette. But this is actually an electronic cigarette. The lookalikes, which are shaped and weighted to feel like the real thing, contain a battery and a heating device. This vaporizes a nicotine solution contained in a disposable cartridge, giving the smoker a nicotine hit without the harmful tar and carbon monoxide produced when tobacco is burned. Critics say not enough is known about the long-term health implications of inhaling them. But is there really any proof e-cigarettes are damaging our health? Well, our Dr. Hillary's at a cafe in East London. Dr. Hillary, what are your thoughts on e-cigarettes?
Well, look, Aled, it's nearly 7 years since the ban on smoking tobacco, and a cafe like this back then would have been full of other people's cigarette smoke with all the toxins in their side stream smoke that I'd have been inhaling and damaging myself as a result. I'm with 3 people who've switched to electronic cigarettes. Stephen, you own the cafe. What do you think?
For myself, it's really provided me with a vehicle to achieving quitting by taking the edge off of that social or chemical addiction. And yeah, it's really helped me out.
Well, that's great. What about you, Jason?
For me, I found that it forces me to smoke more because I now smoke cigarettes, I now smoke e-cigarettes at the same time, so my intake is more. So it hasn't helped and it has helped.
Right, you smoke more, you smoke less. Aurel, what about you?
It helped me to reduce my smoking, and especially at home, as I would take a few puffs instead of smoking a whole cigarette. So
and that's got to be a good thing. Thank you all very much indeed for your thoughts on that. As far as I'm concerned, I look at it this way. Look, in an ideal world, none of us would smoke anything at all, but we don't live in an ideal world. We also drink to excess, people spit on the pavements, people drop litter. We can't legislate against everything, but if you're going to smoke anything at all, surely it's better to have a safer, viable alternative to smoking tobacco, which we know to be vastly dangerous. Surely it's better. If I had a teenager who was going to take up smoking, whether I wanted to or not, I would prefer them to be smoking an electronic cigarette, provided it is safer, provided we have some light regulation to make sure that the quality of what people are vaping is controlled. And that's my bottom line. Back to you in the studio.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Well, we're joined now by Catherine Devlin from the Electronic Cigarette Industry Trade Association. Thanks so much for joining us. You obviously smoke one of these yourself, then, do you?
Well, I vape it. It's not smoke. That's
right.
rather
Vaping,
the point. Yes,
You
vaping.
know,
It's not smoke. Which is
well, the smoke comes
point.
out of it.
It's not smoke that's coming off. It's vapour. And that's the key difference, because it's the smoke that is actually what causes the harm. It's the byproducts of combustion. And when you get rid of those, you have something that's orders of magnitude safer than
smoking.
smoking.
You and you're smoking that and I'm sitting beside you, I'm not going to get any bad effects from that. We know that for sure.
Well, there's been a lot of research done on the side stream vapour, and it has shown that there are minuscule levels. It's a negligible risk of anything going out in the side stream vapour that would affect
someone
someone
nearby. But you're not regulated
nearby.
at all?
It is regulated. There are 17 European directives that currently apply to these products, and it's really important, obviously, that manufacturers do comply with that and that it's enforced properly, because obviously these are products that are designed to be inhaled. So, of course, we have to have good standards there, but as long as those regulations are followed, they're pretty robust.
Well, you say that. Most of these are made in China. The Chinese manufacturers themselves say that they've got concerns as to how safe they are. So how can you be so sure?
Well, we regulate the industry through CETA in terms of checking the documentation on the hardware, safety reports and so on, but we also test the liquids in a UK government lab to make sure that they don't contain any contaminants that shouldn't be in there, to make sure that the nicotine content is as stated. But the real point about all of this is that we've got to give smokers a better choice than quit or die, which is what they've had up to now. And now there finally is a better alternative. And as long as they can know about that, they can make that choice for themselves.
But aren't we just, if you like, there's one addiction, and all we're doing is substituting one addiction for another. There's an interesting one here from Alison. We've had a massive response from this, as you can imagine. Alison's an assistant head teacher in a school, and she says, I've got pupils who would never have smoked cigarettes, but they're developing an cigarette habit. So, I mean, can Alison rest easily in her bed knowing that these children are going to be okay, that there's no harmful effects?
These are not products for children, and that's a discipline issue for the school. They really shouldn't be allowing this in school any more than they'd allow children to be texting during lessons or using any other sort of product that's not allowed at school. You know, there are a lot of things that are not allowed at school, and rightly so, and these are not products for children.
No, they're not, but we come down to the whole thing again, but how safe is it? You know, I mean, you use it yourself, but is safe enough good enough?
Safe enough is good enough when you have to compare it with continuing to smoke. Now, I was a dyed-in-the-wool smoker for 27 years. There was no way I was going to quit. You know, NRT and patches work at best 7% of the time. That's just not good enough when people are dying, literally. I mean, my own husband died at the age of 31 from smoking-related cancer. 10 years on, my daughter's saying to me, why did we have to lose Daddy? It's not fair. I have no answer to that. But if one other family can be prevented from going through what we went through because of e-cigarettes, then that has to be a good thing. We've got to put it in that context. You know, if people are going to carry on smoking, if that's what they're going to choose to do, we've got to give them a better way out of it.
Okay, thank you very much indeed for coming on. And you use that one.
I do.
And you don't smoke cigarettes at all?
No, 5 years now.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And you can see the rise of the e-cigarette. It's on tonight at 7:30.
Yes, so that was Catherine Devlin last week on Daybreak, and she did a marvellous job against Lorraine and Aled Jones there. And I'd just like to say one thing to Lorraine and Aled Jones. Vaping is not smoking. Thank you. When will they get it into their heads? If they're going to question people, if they're going to present something about e-cigarettes, at least get your facts right. It's not smoking. If it was smoking, we'd be lighting something up, wouldn't we? Yes. So vaping is not smoking. I thank you. Rant over. In all seriousness, you know, Dr. Hilary Jones had it right. You know, if he had a teenager who was thinking about starting to smoke, he'd much prefer them to use e-cigarettes. Certain people, Dr. Christian as well, is on our side. He believes that they are a good thing and not a bad thing. So it's just a case of education. We must educate these people. Vaping is not smoking. Okay, we're going to go into the ads now, and when we come back, we've got some more stuff. We've got a piece from this morning, and we've got some juicy, and I've also got a couple of vape meats that I'm going to tell you about. See you in 2 minutes.
Vaper Scene is proudly sponsored by Health E-Vape, UK purveyor of e-cigarettes and e-liquid.
iVaper and iVaper Elixir, based in Yorkshire, for your e-cig needs. That's iVaper.co.uk and iVaper-elixir.co.uk. iVaper and iVaper-elixir.co.uk, proud sponsors of VaporTrails.tv.
Now it's back to Vaper Scene on Vaper Trails TV. Vaper Scene is proudly sponsored by Health E-Vape, UK purveyor of e-cigarettes and e-liquid.
And welcome back. Hello. Just watching chat there, and there is a lot of good support there for how Catherine dealt with Lorraine and Allard on the sofa. I think she did really well, and she didn't even look nervous, which is a bonus, especially when you're on live television. It's not easy, as some of us know, but there you go. Right, so talking about live TV, let's look at this morning, and Dr. Chris Steele has got some interesting stuff to say, I have to say. So have a little look.
One of the headlines I wanted to talk about today, a ban on the sale of harmful e-cigarettes to children. Ministers to launch a crackdown on underage smoking. A lot of chat about e-cigarettes at the moment, whether they're actually a safer option to smoking or not. What do you think about this?
Well, I think it's right that they should not be available to kids under the age of 18. Now, in terms of just the general picture, look, let's just think common sense. A cigarette is delivering smoke from burning tobacco. 4,600 chemicals going into your body, laden with cancer-causing agents, carbon monoxide that thickens your blood, increases your risk of heart attack, stroke, circulation problems, gangrene, and all sorts of other chemicals that damage your lungs. And you compare that to what comes from an e-cigarette. And an e-cigarette, you've got the battery there, and in here there's a liquid that contains nicotine, sometimes a flavouring agent, and a chemical that's like a propellant that's used in asthma inhalers. So when you inhale on this, out comes vapour.
So is that what? So the vapour is just what, water?
Water vapour. That's all it is, right? So you've got no carbon monoxide, none of the chemicals, etc. Plus, and people have got the wrong idea, it's nicotine. Look, you smoke to get nicotine into your brain. That's the only reason why you are smoking. So what this is doing is delivering nicotine, which at the dose taken is not causing any disease.
Well, what they say, and there are concerns that if you are a smoker and you try to get yourself off smoking by going through those and away, that's one thing. What they could be doing is encouraging young people to smoke those, not smoking cigarettes, get addicted to those and think, well, now I might try cigarettes.
Yeah, a gateway to cigarette smoking. There's no evidence of that to date. Okay, I mean, we just don't know. And to be honest, I mean, we don't know the long-term effects of e-cigarettes. They've only been out there 3 or 4 years. But common sense, look, 4,600 chemicals, one chemical, you've been using that chemical all that time from your tobacco, that is safe. And a lot of the leading experts are saying that if people change from tobacco cigarettes to e-cigarettes, these could save millions of lives.
But there are also quality control issues as well, aren't there?
Now this is the important issue. At the present moment, there are about 120 brands out there. There are no regulations regarding quality, purity, etc. Products coming in from China that are very suspect. However, in 2016, there will be regulation of these products, and the ones left on the market will be guaranteed purity, quality and safety.
Thank you very much. Lots of people have been sending us their thoughts on e-cigarettes. Debbie said, I've tried using e-cigarettes and they did help. I didn't have any problems while smoking them, and I'm now a non-smoker, so well done to you, Debbie. Jules Peacock said, I'm on day 18 of not smoking. I tried the e-cigarette, but I didn't like them. Keely said, I've been using e-cigarettes for 18 months. I expect they're not 100% safe, but I'm prepared to take the risk. Rebecca Hook said, if they help people to give up smoking, then it's a stepping stone, and surely that is positive. Becca said, I've stopped using e-cigarettes because I had trouble breathing. However, they did help me to stop smoking actual cigarettes. And the final one on e-cigarettes is Jim Gardner, who thinks it's about time e-cigarettes were looked into.
Yes, and I'm going to hold on to the last comment there. It's about time these were looked into. And have you noticed that in the last week there has been just uber magnification on vaping and e-cigarettes? Since the Tonight programme went out, it has gone boom, and we're getting a lot more coverage. And you know, no coverage is bad coverage in the end. It's getting it out there, and people are talking about it, and the truth will out Absolutely. Chris Steele said there 4,600 chemicals in a cigarette, and well, there's a couple in an e-cigarette. At least on the piece on Sky, they got the graphics right, which hadn't happened on the Tonight programme, which I believe is being changed, which is why the programme is down at the moment. But you know, we're getting there. We're getting there slowly, and the more we can do, the more we can make a difference, I think. So let's just see what happens over the coming weeks, because I think it's going to start getting very interesting. Right, let's have a look at a couple of vape meets that are coming up, because Vape Meet 1, this is Saturday the 1st of February, this Saturday, if you're in the South Yorkshire area, at Wunwell Working Men's Club from 7 p.m. It's Station Road, Barnsley. Russell is organising that one, and I am planning to attend, yes. And then also there's one next Saturday, also in the South Yorkshire area, at the Broomhill Tavern, Sheffield in Glossop Road. That is being organised by, I can't remember, I did write it down but I can't remember, dreadfully sorry. But I'm planning to get to that one as well. So if you are in the South Yorkshire area, get along to one of those two vape meets, and I'm going to be taking the camera and seeing if I can get some Vox Pops from some vapors, which I will bring to you on a show soon, maybe next week, maybe the week after, maybe both, I don't know. Anyway, now then, I have a juicy for you, and it is Dave Malik. It's the one that should have been on last week, but as you know, last week I showed some other stuff. So this is part 1, and I'll show you part 2 next week, and it is good. So here it is. It's Davey Malik. It's juicy.
Hi guys. I've got a bit of a different juice review for you today. I'll give you the background around it first of all. A friend of mine posted on one of the pages in Facebook about some juices in America that seemed a little bit interesting, and someone else posted, who's going to be stupid enough to try it? Here. So I've got some very different flavours that I am going to try. I've got a new dripper on an Ego battery. That's what I'm going to try on, because I don't want to ruin any of my devices. And the flavours I have, I've not tried any of these yet, so I might barf, who knows. I have got ginger, which just simply says on the bottle, shake well. I've got bacon, clove, Worcester sauce, tomato soup, and cucumber. And they also very kindly sent me a bottle of dragon's blood, which I haven't even opened the packet on that yet. Now, like I said, I've not tried any of these. I have some friends who have asked me to send them over samples of them once I've tried them. I will gladly do so, probably, because I'm really not looking forward to this. These are all from ecblend, ecblend.com, and I bought these myself. Right, now I'll try and decide what to start with. Cucumber sounds like probably the most harmless of them all, so I'm only going to put 2 drops in it. Oh God, if I can open the thing, that is. There we go. Right. That's all I'm putting in. Cucumber. Here we go. That's actually fairly pleasant. I'm quite surprised by that one. Quite like it. Yeah, that's not bad. Okay. Right, let's burn that off. Try the next one. What shall I go for next? I'm going to go with tomato soup. Tomato soup. Here we go. That tastes nothing like tomato soup. Oh. Oh my god. Oh. It's made my eyes water. No. Definitely not. Nothing like tomato soup, right? Okay. Right, burn that off. Jesus, why do I do these things? Hang on. It's got a little bit through the bottom. Oh, okay. Worcestershire sauce. Smells like Worcestershire sauce, actually. Don't think it's going to vape very nice. Okay. Okay, it's quite spicy. Oh, Jesus. That's quite disgusting. Oh, right, and this is leaking now. I will be back in a sec. Right.
Juicy, 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 juicy. And that was part one of Davey's Juicy Juicy, and you're going to have to tune in next week for part two, because part two is about 8 minutes long, and I'm already over, as I usually am. So thank you, Davey. I've seen that so many times because it's been on the show for the past 3 weeks and I haven't managed to get it out there. But there you go. So thank you to Davey. You can find out what happens next week. Now, before I go, Disco Des just typed in the chat there. There's a vape meet on the 22nd of Feb at Pressley Inn in Pressley, Shepton Mallet, Somerset. BA4 4NL. And that's on the 22nd of February. So that's another vape meet coming up. And feel free, send me an email to vaperscene@vapetrails.tv if you've got a vape meet coming up with all the details, and I will put it out there. Or you can, of course, visit our forum, or you can, of course, get us on Twitter and Facebook. Now then, don't forget the rest of the week. Tomorrow, Team Talk. Thursday, VT Talk with Dave and Sav, and hopefully Nikki Sinclair. Not confirmed yet, but hopefully. And then, of course, it's Dave's Tackle Box on Sunday. I'll be back next Tuesday. And on Dave's show, he always likes to give the last word to chat. But tonight, I'm going to give the last word to Dave Dawn. And here it is.
Buzzword of the week with Dave Dawn.
Dave, what do you think Nicorette inhalators?
We shite.
Thanks, Dave.
Buzzword of the week with Dave Dawn.
And that, my friends, was Vaper Scene on Tuesday, the 22nd of January. I will see you next week. Tatty bye.
Vaper Scene is proudly sponsored by Health e-Vape, UK purveyor of e-cigarettes and e-liquid.